Okay, thanks. Good morning. Before I call the meeting to order, I'll note for the record that I'll serve as the acting chair for today's meeting. Now call to order the meeting of the directors of the New York State Urban Development Corporation doing business as Empire State Development for Thursday, October 15th, 2015. The directors have received the written materials in advance of this meeting and they are free to ask questions at any time. As noted on the agenda posted to the internet, we welcome public comment on the items on the following agenda. To ensure maximum opportunity for participation, speakers representing themselves may speak for up to 2 minutes each. Those representing groups may speak for up to 4 minutes with one speaker per group. Speakers' comments may address only the items considered at today's meeting. Before we begin with the substantive portion of the meeting, I'd like to ask the directors whether anyone has any potential conflict of interest with respect to any of the items on the agenda. If so, I'd ask you to please make an appropriate disclosure on the record at this time. We'll then be sure that you may recuse yourself from any discussion or vote with regard to such item or items. Thank you. The first item on today's agenda is the approval of the minutes of the September 17, 2015 directors meeting. Before I get to that, actually, I'm just going to cover a few miscellaneous items and important items. So I want to start with an announcement you may have seen, or some of you may not have seen, with respect to that the governor made with respect to the Carrie Gabay Fellowship and the Carrie Gabay Scholarship. So I just want to review that for everyone's benefit before we move any further. So the Carrie Gabay Fellowship will be awarded every 2 years to a mid-career attorney who, like Gabay, is committed to public service, hails from an economically disadvantaged background, and most importantly embodies the integrity and kind-heartedness that distinguish Gabay personally. The fellow will serve for 2 years in the Governor's Counsel's Office, where Gabay began his career in the administration, and will work on furthering the Governor's violence prevention initiative, as well as issues of economic equality and development that Gabay championed throughout his career. The fellow will be assigned a mentor in counsel's office. Will be assigned as a mentor in the counsel's office, and the first fellow will lead a major research project on violence prevention in memory of Gabay. Opportunities for the fellow to earn an MPA concurrently with state service will be explored. The Carrie Gabay Scholarship Program will award annually full ride scholarships to 5 deserving students to attend the State University of New York. These scholarships will cover all costs of attendance, including tuition, room and board, college fees, books and supplies, and transportation and personal expenses. So I wanted everyone to be aware of that if you weren't already aware of it. Proud how quickly the governor responded to promises that we collectively made to honor Carrie's memory with fellowships and scholarships. So I think this was really fabulous and very much appreciated, I know, here at ESD among his colleagues and his friends and his family. So I'll move on to other business. You know, one of the things that we are starting to work on is a kind of a modification to the format of our board meetings. So we have in our today's agenda the opportunity to vote on raising the financial threshold that requires board authorization as opposed to management discretion for a decision. So if we haven't raised that in a very long time, right, Liz? Like maybe
since 1983.
1983. So, which will take some items off of our agenda and allow us to focus more time on some other matters. So I hope we support that. Some of the other matters that I think we can cover here, because the meetings heretofore have been solely focused on items that require board authorizations and resolutions. But actually, if you think about ESD, there's an awful lot that goes on here every day, every week, every month in economic development that don't require board resolutions, but are of interest to any board member who is involved in ESD and concerned with the economy of New York. So, for example, what you'll see at our next, starting with our next meeting, are things like metrics for the economy, because we publish information on how's New York's economy doing, metrics for how ESD is doing. We have a number of initiatives that we pursue all the time, whether it's broadband or economic development or Global New York, or you name it. We're constantly working on a myriad of projects. I want to, and I want you to know that I have brought as a physical representation the amazing amount of work that happens in economic development across the state. So many of you don't know the regions or the regional directors, but on my right are the annual submissions from what's referred to as the Regional Economic Development Councils. And these are really impressive documents that reflect the strategy. And as you know, every region has developed its own strategic plan and is empowered in many ways to implement those plans. And every year they're required to compete and submit progress. There's an amazing array of information. These are all very interesting books in their own right. And for anyone who's interested, and these are also available online, to help you understand how New York State does economic development in a somewhat decentralized, strategic, and collaborative way. Doesn't mean New York State does economic development solely on a regionally basis. We do state marketing more centrally. We do tourism promotion more centrally. We do Global New York initiatives. We do trade missions. Not everything is done regionally, but a lot of what we do and a lot of what comes before the board ultimately is reflected in these regional plans. So I want you to know these are great documents. And recently, because this is kind of current events, 7 of the regions just submitted their plans for the competition known as the Upstate Revitalization Initiative, which was in the most recent budget. Which is $500 million competition for 3 winning regions out of 7 participants. So all of the upstate regions, except for the Western New York region, which benefited from the Buffalo Billion commitment, were able to compete in this Upstate Revitalization Initiative, which is $500 million paid over 5 years to each of the regions to advance their plans. And so they did kind of deeper dives, more thorough analyses, and more thorough plans, including some very specific projects that have been submitted and are on my left side. But this gives you an idea, I think, of the magnitude of which our regions are engaged in economic development and have kind of what I describe as gotten off of the sidelines and into the game of economic development. So you can't understand ESD without understanding how active the regions are. And I'm going to ask the regions, not all of them each month, but some of them, 1 or 2 of them at every meeting. For everyone here in the New York City office and for all the directors, it would be great for them to meet you, and it would be great for you to meet them. And they can describe what their plans are for you and some of the progress that they've made, because we have a fabulous group of regional directors and regions throughout the state, and give you a chance to ask some questions about their strategies and give them a chance to meet everyone, both on the board and in the staff. So we also talk about some of the accomplishments, I think, generally at ESD, and my gosh, look, Liz coincidentally brought this award that we just received.
I didn't.
Which is, I know, a collaboration, I think, on our bond side of our house, which is really important because we actually make money on the refinancing of bonds, right? So maybe somebody can just talk about that for a moment, because I know we just received this like a week or 2 ago. Do you want to talk about that for a second, Liz?
Well, we received it from, as you can see, it's the Smith's Deal of the Year, awarded to the New York Liberty Development Corporation, which technically is a subsidiary of the Jobs Development Authority, not of ESD, but still in the family.
In the family. Right.
And we, after September 11th, Congress enacted legislation that allowed the state and the city to issue bonds, tax-exempt bonds, even for private activities to rebuild Lower Manhattan. And as part of that, Jonathan is here, he's going to correct me when I say something out of line, but we did financing for the Goldman Sachs building, we did financing for World Trade Center 4, 1, 4, and then 3. This last one was World Trade Center 3, which we did last year, and we worked with Silverstein Properties and Goldman Sachs, and we were the conduit issuer for what was it? How many? $2 billion financing for World Trade Center 3.
Yeah.
And now you can see
Well,
it
that
going
was
up.
actually split between 3 and 4, but total for 3 and 4 was 2.6.
So you can see World Trade Center 3 going up, and it's, you know, part of the revitalization of downtown. And we also actually, so we won an award for the financing, which was a great project. It was a very collaborative effort of public-private entities, and we just also did a refinancing of the Goldman Sachs building, a partial refinancing, and we're moving ahead with some other projects, including LaGuardia Central Terminal and a project at JFK. So it's great, and it's great for us to be involved in these fantastic projects, and I would say it's great for ESD because it generates fees.
Exactly. So that's one example. There are
And trophies.
And trophies. Fees and trophies. So in any given month or quarter, so I use this as an example, not as a suggestion that this is our sole accomplishment worthy of mention, but it's an example. So we'll collect some of those because we get awarded different things like manufacturing extension partnerships and all types of other things that we do at ESD that people don't realize. And also, you know, talk from time to time. We have organizational change, so I'll keep people abreast of that. And that's a good segue to introduce Kevin Eunice. Kevin is really going to head operations here as our Senior Executive Vice President of Operations. You know, with Mehul's departure, and we've had some other change, we'll have some series of organizational changes, but most significantly, I'm very appreciative of the fact that Kevin, who has very definitely earned the respect of his colleagues here at ESD and has a distinguished record of service here at ESD, which he will tell you a bit about his background and his years at ESD, but I'm very pleased. Let's try and get this on the record before he changes his mind. So, anyway, thank you, Kevin.
Yeah, thank you, Howard. Kevin Eunice, I'm an upstate New York product. I went to SUNY undergrad at SUNY Cortland. I did my master's at Rockefeller College in Albany. I've been with ESD, it boggles my mind to think it sometimes, since the beginning of 2007. And during that time, I've been really involved in the sort of policy and program and budget development. So over the years, I've kind of gotten to know all of our programs quite intimately. So, you know, because it starts in this, everything we have is derived from the legislative budget process. Everything we can do and can't do is driven from that. And so I've been very much involved in the start at the point those bills are introduced, and then operationalizing them. So I've worked closely with everybody throughout the organization, and it's been a lot of fun. I have a ton of institutional knowledge. I think the one difference that maybe from Mehul to me is I really have this legislative and budget history. State government is my work, is my, you know, I'm a public servant. That's what I do. That's what I want to do. That's what I've done my entire life. I grew up in Syracuse. I did AmeriCorps coming out of college. I spent some time overseas teaching English. I then moved to the state legislature for a few years. I've done policy and program development for most of my career. So I'm really excited about the opportunity. It's going to be fun. We're doing some cool stuff, and I really love some of the things that Howard's talking about, some of the different focuses and directions that we're thinking about. So I'm really excited about it. We just got great people that work here, and and it's a lot of fun to be here. So thanks.
Okay, well done. Well, I think that's sort of, that gives you some color on what the sort of next meetings will have, some different dimension to it. And maybe some fewer, smaller items. And we'll go from there. So, board meetings and agendas are living, we can always modify them, but we'll give it a shot to be sort of informative, interesting, and, make some introductions for different folks.
I think they're terrific moves, Howard, to really try to empower the management to be able to have the authority to work on a number of these projects and just approve them. In turn, to have the board focus with some of these profiles on particular regions and deep dives. So it's a terrific direction.
Yeah, thanks. I think they're looking forward to participating too. There's a lot of them who have spoken to so many people here in York, but don't really have never put a face to the name. So let me see. I've probably lost my place completely. We haven't done minutes yet, right? So are there any questions, comments, or additions with respect to the minutes? If not, entertain a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Jonathan, you have some items related to the appointment of members to ESD's bond financing committee.
Yes, thank you. Good morning. In 1995, the Bond Financing Committee was constituted by this board and was delegated responsibility for all activities involving the sale and issuance of bonds or notes by the corporation. The corporation authorized the committee to have 4 directors, including 3 independent directors. After recent resignations by Kenneth Adams and Superintendent of Financial Services Benjamin Lawsky, there are 2 vacancies. Derek Cephas and Robert Dyson continue to serve on the committee. The directors are now being asked to fill those vacant positions. The first recommendation is Howard Zemsky, who currently serves as the corporation's president, CEO, and is a director of the corporation. The second recommendation is Anthony Albanese, who was named the acting superintendent of the Department of Financial Services following Superintendent Lawsky's recent resignation. Detailed biographical information demonstrating their skill and knowledge to perform the duties and serve on the committee is attached to your materials. Based on the foregoing, the appointments of Howard Zemsky and Acting Superintendent Anthony Albanese to the Bond Financing Committee of the Corporation, in addition to the current members, Mr. Cephas and Mr. Dyson, are hereby recommended.
Jonathan, what's an example of the work of the bond committee? What's a recent bond that they voted on?
Well, actually, the committee is meeting immediately following this board meeting to approve state personal income tax revenue bonds. It's basically an annual assignment from the Division of Budget to issue bonds for economic development as well as to support state facilities such as prisons and other state office buildings. And so ESD, along with the Dormitory Authority, are traditionally given very large annual assignments to issue bonds. These bonds are anticipated to be in the range of $2 billion. Basically, the committee sort of serves as a smaller representative of this board to act quickly and efficiently when it comes to pricing and other activities where sometimes constituting the whole board is can be burdensome.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions or comment? Any questions from the public? Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. Thank you. Glendon.
Thank you, and good morning. The directors will be requested to consider 24 discretionary projects, including 2 Empire State Economic Development Fund grants for $500,000 and 1 New York State Innovation Venture Capital Fund grant for $5 million. The 24 projects include 21 regional council projects as follows: 7 regional council capital fund grants totaling $3,540,600. 16 Market New York grants totaling $3,817,399, and 1 Urban and Community Development Program grant for $100,000. The 24 projects take place in all 10 regions. Will leverage over $37 million of additional investment, retain 542 jobs, and create 32 jobs in the state. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Clement. So we're going to go through the regions. Mike Ball, are you on the line?
I am. Good morning.
Hey, Mike.
Good morning. So, directors, this morning you requested to approve a $250,000 Empire State Economic Development Fund grant to Rubber Form Recycled Products for new machinery and equipment in Lockport, New York. The project was completed in August 2015 and will retain 11 existing jobs and create 9 jobs by January 1st of 2016. In 2011, Rubber Form applied for a $500,000 grant through the CFA process to assist with a $1 million plus investment in new machinery and equipment to expand production. Rubber Form was awarded, however, a $250,000 Environmental Investment Program grant in December of 2011. So the company proceeded with a phased capital investment, which did end up doubling their production. The company came to ESD then again in 2014 to complete the final automated component of the original project, allowing it to be competitive with imported products. Rubber Form accepted ESD's offer of a $250,000 grant, resulting in the decision to proceed with that final phase of the capital investment. The $500,000 project involved the acquisition and installation of new machinery and equipment, including production molds, line automation, hydraulic systems, and an extruder system necessary to complete an automated production line to guarantee a repeatable process for a consistent product. The project allowed Rubber Form to compete with imported products from subsidized nations, including China and Canada, and advance efforts to convert the over 325 million refuse tires generated by Americans annually, which would otherwise be burned or culminate as landfill waste. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions or comments from the directors to Mike on this item? Any questions or comments from the public? Motion to approve? So moved. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Mike, you've got one more.
Yes, thank you. We are also here this morning to request your approval of a $250,000 Empire State Economic Development Fund capital grant to TMP Acquisitions for a portion of building and land acquisition costs that would retain 124 jobs and add 8 new jobs that were at risk of leaving New York State. The project is complete. TMP Acquisitions is a limited liability company which was established in September 2014 for the purpose of the management buyout of TMP Technologies, Time Release Sciences, Inc., and Advanced Rubber Products, including the land, buildings, machinery and equipment, and furniture, fixtures, and equipment. The companies, as I mentioned, were in danger of being acquired by out-of-state buyers for market share with production shifted offshore, which would have placed all 3 companies at risk. In 2014, ESD offered an incentive of $250,000 capital grant, along with Excelsior tax credits of up to $400,000, which TMP accepted. So this $8.9 million project involved the acquisition of the 3 Western New York companies, including all real estate, facility machinery, furniture, fixtures, and equipment. And that investment is part of an overall $28 million acquisition of the company's assets, including inventory and contracts. So therefore, as a result of the project, the 3 companies which are at risk of relocation will remain in Western New York, and as I mentioned, will retain 124 jobs and create new jobs by January 1st, 2020.
Thanks, Mike. Any questions from directors for Mike? Any comments from the public? Is there a motion to approve? So moved. Seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Jim Fail from Central.
Good morning. The first project today, the board will be asked to approve a $650,000 grant that was used in the rehabilitation of an existing building in downtown Cortland, known as the Cortland Business Innovation Center. and will serve as a venue for SUNY Cortland entrepreneurship training and as a hub for multi-agency effort to incubate startup businesses and to provide business-related internship opportunities for SUNY students. This is an important project for this community because Cortland is one of the highest unemployment rates in the Central New York region at 7.7%. The project was completed in July of 2015. It required the retention of one job and creation of another job, so that has been accomplished. The total project cost was about $956,000, and this was a round one priority project for the regional council. I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Any questions for Jim? Any comments from the public on this item? Is there a motion to approve? Seconded?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Jim, one more item.
Yes, the second project is a company known as Marquardt Switches, Inc., and the board's being asked to approve a $600,000 grant that was used for the construction and renovation of the Marquardt Global Technology Center. And this was in response to a company decision to reinvent itself in order to stay competitive in the marketplace, which focuses on high-tech manufacturing and enhancing the company's role in the global market. This facility will provide engineering, research, and development support for product utilization by the company on a global basis and improve innovation and process improvements for their product line. This was in essence a retention job of at least 350 jobs in Madison County, which is a rural county in this region. And the company currently is far exceeding that number at 488 jobs. The project was completed in the August of 2015 this summer. Total project costs were $5.4 million, and this was a round 3 priority project. So I would be glad to entertain any questions.
Any questions from the directors? Any comments from the public on this? Motion to approve?
So moved.
Seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, Jim. Megan, are you on the line? Yep. Megan, are you with us? Anyone from Mid-Hudson? Okay, we'll come back to Mid-Hudson. Let's skip to Barry. Are you on the line from Long Island?
I am. Good morning, everyone.
Way to go. Thanks,
So
Barry.
Yes, so the ESD board is being asked to approve a $250,000 grant, which was a regional council 2012 project to increase engineering students on Long Island. The goal of this project was to significantly increase the opportunities for engineering students to graduate from Long Island colleges, because Long Island faced a severe and continues to face a severe shortage of engineers, and it's a true threat to our continued economic expansion. For that reason, it was first determined that our 2 largest schools, Stony Brook University and Hofstra University, would first invest and expand their engineering schools, which they did. Now we have provided a $250,000 grant to Farmingdale State College to add new classrooms, teaching laboratories, and equipment, as well as professors to enable additional engineering students, thus helping alleviate the shortage of available engineers. Farmingdale State College has completed this $1,550,000 expansion and is seeking our $250,000 grant. The project has been successful. They've increased engineering faculty by 6, exceeding their projected increase of 4, and their engineering enrollment has increased by over 15% from 2013 to 2015. It should be noted that Dr. Hubert Keene is Farmingdale State College president and a regional council member. However, in 2012, Dr. Keene was not a regional council member, so did not vote on this project. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Any questions for Barry on this project? Any comments from the public? And I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
I'm going to give everyone coffee. Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Any opposed? Thank you. Kelly, the Market New York Grant Program.
Yes, good morning. The Division of Tourism is requesting the board's approval for a total of 16 Market New York projects. The first project is the Thomas Cole National Historic Site. It is a capital project, and it has been completed. The grant is for $500,000. This organization reconstructed a studio and built a new entrance, parking lot, restrooms, and landscaped the premises in order to create a vital new visitor destination in the capital region. The second and third projects on your list combine into one project overall for the Clemens Center. It was both a working capital and capital grant for a total of $89,415. This organization upgraded their exterior signage to enhance on-site marketing and has implemented a marketing plan designed to move its current 12% attendance to 20% from the northern tier of Pennsylvania within the next 3 years. Additionally, the organization also undertook facility improvements for increased safety in the balcony area and replacing an inoperable backstage wheelchair lift to provide handicap access. The next projects, D and E on your list, are also a combined project, both working capital and capital project, for a total of $247,500. This organization has initiated capital improvements that include renovations to its baseball and softball fields, walkways, as well as additional site amenities. In addition, the town will promote this tourism destination through a targeted marketing campaign within the region. Item F on your list is Fort Ticonderoga Association. This was a capital project that has been completed for $70,554. This organization planned, designed, and developed a visitor boat dock facility and purchased related marine transportation equipment at the fort's facility on Lake Champlain. This addition to a popular tourism destination in the North Country region will allow visitors to have an enhanced experience. Item G on your list, the National Baseball Hall of Fame and Museum. This is a working capital project for $750,000. This organization actually has completed the digitization of its collection and customized a digital asset management system to facilitate website and mobile application integration. And the overall goal of this project is to increase visitation not only to the museum, but also the tourism region as well. The next item is the Village of Sleepy Hollow, and it's the Sleepy Hollow Multicultural Art Celebration Working Capital Project with a grant of $45,000. The village has completed a marketing campaign to promote and foster participation in the performing arts events in their region. Village will leverage print, television, and online media to raise awareness and increase attendance at the event and in the overall region. Next is the Niagara County Community College. This is a working capital project for $99,930. And this organization is looking to use the Market New York funding to design a multimedia marketing campaign for special events and activities at the Niagara County Community College, and thereby increasing visitation to that area and the overall region. Item J on your list is the Cayuga Wine Trail. This project was a winery wayfinding and marketing project, and it is working capital for $75,000. The organization will initiate a targeted social media advertising program promoting the Cayuga Wine Trail in the United States, France, Spain, Japan, the United Kingdom, and Canadian markets. Additionally, marketing elements will be included at New York City's JFK Airport and as well at the Syracuse Airport in order to increase tourism to this destination and the region overall. Items K and L on your list are combined into one program, both working capital and capital project, for a total of $840,000. The organization will deploy Ski Cortland, a marketing plan which will help the central New York region build upon the emerging identity of Greek Peak Mountain Resort as an outdoor recreation and sports-driven destination. Additionally, as the capital element of this project, the partnership will be used for improvements to add a deck at Greek Peak Mountain Resort to accentuate the accommodations for increased visitors to the region. The next item on your list is the Olana Partnership. This is a working capital project for $200,000. The Olana and the Thomas Cole National Historic Site will partner to launch a joint exhibition of contemporary art entitled River Crossing. The exhibition opened in May of 2015, and the project's primary goal is to attract new visitors to the region through a comprehensive multimedia marketing plan and the creation of a documentary film. The next item is Center State Corporation for Economic Opportunity, a working capital project with a grant of $375,000. In 2014, the Syracuse Do Your Thing brand campaign was launched to fully embrace all potential customer groups and all regional experiences, resulting in a boost in traveler spending in the region and longer overnight stays. The organization will initiate in 2015 an expanded multimedia marketing plan to include international partnerships and to build further awareness of this campaign and the destination overall. Item Q on your list is LPEC Quality Destination. This is a working capital project with a grant of $275,000, and the organization is developing and implementing a multimedia marketing campaign to promote the annual Empire State Winter Games in Lake Placid in order to increase tourism to the North Country region. The 2016 Empire State Winter Games are a multi-day sports event that will take place February 4th through the 7th in the year of 2016. And the final project that we're requesting for your approval is the Buffalo Niagara Convention and Visitors Bureau, a working capital project with a grant of $250,000. The organization will initiate a multimedia marketing plan to promote marketing of tourism shopping destinations in Western New York to the Canadian market, thereby increasing international visitation and spending in the region. And with that, if anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Okay, Kelly, good job. You did it. No small task there. Any questions from anyone? Any comments from the public? Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second, perhaps?
Second.
Great. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Simone, you've got the October Regional Council consent calendar.
Thank you. Good morning. The directors are requested to approve 3 Regional Council discretionary consent projects. The first item is a $40,600 Round 3 capital grant to Precision Metals Corps, a veteran-owned small business that manufactures precision parts for the defense, commercial, and medical industries. In 2013, the company applied for assistance to purchase and install machinery and equipment and retain 42 employees. The project was completed in July 2015 at a cost of $203,000. The second item is a $50,000 Round 3 Regional Council Capital Fund grant to Chemung County Performing Arts Center, doing business as the Clemens Center. This award is one of 3 grants being considered at today's meeting for facility renovations at the Clemens Center and its on-site theater, in addition to creation of a marketing campaign that will establish the center as one of Chemung County's primary tourism destinations and a key performing arts facility. The center will complete upgrades to exterior signage, flooring replacement, and stair handrails, among other improvements. Project costs for the overall renovations and marketing projects are expected to be $276,544. The project is expected to be complete in December 2015 and will retain 14 jobs. The third item is a $100,000 Urban and Community Development Round 4 Regional Council Capital Grant to Long Island City Partnership, a nonprofit that is developing a comprehensive study to inform the ongoing economic development of Long Island City. The area to be examined includes industrial, commercial, residential, and cultural components, which are all located on the essential transportation systems that connect New York City to the Long Island region. ESD made the organization an offer of assistance in January 2015, which the company accepted in February 2015. Project costs are expected to be $350,000. Thank you.
Thanks. Well, any questions or comments from the director?
Good presentation, Simone.
Way to go, Simone. Any comments from the public? Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? you. Megan, are you on the line? Megan Taylor? She, okay, we'll come back.
Edwin says that he can present.
Oh, Edwin, why don't you do Megan's?
Are we up to this? Or have we completed all of the regional council projects at this point?
Well, we can go on and we can, yeah. We can wait, yeah.
Ed, are you on the line?
Yes, I am, Howard.
Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Forgive the raspy voice. I have a cold. The non-discretionary projects refer to those listed in the New York State budget that enhance the state's communities through cultural, educational, research and development, and civic organizations. These projects originate from the Governor, Assembly, or Senate, and ESD is named to administer the funding. ESD does not select the recipients of funding. This month there is one project for your consideration. This is an executive-sponsored project for continued assistance to the Richardson Olmsted Complex in Buffalo. This request is to approve the final segment, or $13,238,152 of a $76.5 million state appropriation that was made back in the 2006-2007 state budget. The Olmsted Complex was designed by noted architect Henry Hobson Richardson and famed landscape architect Frederick Law Olmsted. It is listed on the state and national registers of historic places and designated by the National Park Service as a National Historic Landmark. Originally known as the Buffalo State Asylum, opened in 1895, it functioned as a hospital until 1974 when it closed. In the succeeding years, it went into severe decay and deterioration until the appropriation in 2006-2007 to revitalize the facility. This request continues the core phase, which is a mixed-use project involving the design, renovation, and reuse of 180,000 square feet, including the prominent Towers Administration Building, to become an 88-room boutique hotel, 30,000 square feet of conference and event space, and a newly created Buffalo Architectural Center. So the directors are being asked to approve a grant in the amount of $13,238,152 from the original appropriation to fund the balance of the project. The project is ongoing with completion expected in December 2016. Thank you, and I might add that Steve Golick from the Buffalo office, I believe, is also available to take any questions, as am I. Thank you very much.
Let me just, this project, as Ed says, has been really very active for 10 years. I had the opportunity to serve as president of the board here for the last 4 to 5 years, actually, until taking this job with ESD. This project, first of all, I want to thank Steve and everyone at ESD, because they were great partners in this project right from the get-go, and we couldn't have done it without ESD support and patience. This is an amazing project. If you ever get to Buffalo, Buffalo prides itself on its historic architecture, Richardson, Sullivan, and Wright, and this is really the earliest collaboration between Frederick Law Olmsted and Richardson on a project. It's just it's an amazing project that fell into incredible disrepair, including flooding and just what I would call grotesque negligence on the part of, well, I won't mention on the part of whom. But happily, the funds were allocated to restore this building. It's right in Buffalo's cultural corridor. It's next to Buffalo State College. It's on Elmwood Avenue. It's right by the Olmsted Park System. It's across from the Albright Knox Art Gallery. It's next to the Birchville Penny Art Gallery. There are no hotels in this area, and it's a huge tourist destination. So I think this is a great example of of redevelopment, historic redevelopment. We actually started this project with an Urban Land Institute, did a 5-day panel, convened a 5-day panel on this project back 10 years ago, and 10 years later, the project that we are actively working on now, which will be done in a year, is very true to that initial vision that was laid out. And if you're not familiar with that process, it's an amazing process of really engaging the whole community, all the constituents and all the relevant groups, because a lot of what these projects can become, the knowledge of what they should be, are actually embedded in the community. If you bring the right people together, you get the consensus generally on where the market is and what the demand is and what the neighborhood supports and what the business community supports. And 10 years later, we're basically following the blueprint that was laid out, which was a great process to be part of. So I want to thank Steve. He's on the line because he's been holding the hand of the Richardson Center Corporation in part all along the way. It's been a great partnership. And everyone on that board has done a fabulous job. So anyway, that's a long way of commenting. Any other comments or questions? Any comments from the public on this? Is there a motion to approve?
So,
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, Carrie. Megan, are you on the line? I think we lost Lynn Hudson. Right. Megan, is that you? Okay. We lost Megan this meeting.
I can do it.
Yep, Edwin's gonna do
Or
it.
if the directors were comfortable, they could vote solely on the materials.
Yeah.
But-
Edwin, what do you
Sure,
say?
sure, I can do it.
All right, go for it.
Which item?
So we are going back in our book to 3C and 3D, the two projects from the Mid-Hudson region. The first one, which I'll talk about here, 3C, is a $450,000 grant to the Hudson Valley Brewery, Inc. This is a brewery and retail center that is finishing up construction in January 2016, which will include the purchase and renovation of a historic building totaling about 6,000 square feet, and it'll include a brew system, canning, and packaging line. Excuse me. This is a priority project for the Mid-Hudson region. Total project cost is about $2.5 million, and the project will create 10 jobs as it moves along and progresses.
Great, thank you, Edwin.
Sure.
Any questions from the board? Any comments from the public? I bet there's a motion to approve somewhere.
So moved.
Seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Edwin, you got one more.
Yes, this is 3D now. A $1.5 million grant to the County of Ulster is requested. Excuse me. For the reconstruction of a 30,000 square foot elementary school. The county has successfully completed the reconstruction rehabilitation of the Sophie Finn Elementary School building and will adapt it and reuse it for a community college. The project was completed in August, and total project costs are about $7.8 million.
Great, any questions for Edwin on this? Any comments from the public? Excellent. Is there a motion to approve? Seconded?
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you very much. Christine Astopoulos, on the line?
She's at the table.
Christine, sorry. Thank you for being right here.
Good morning, everyone. The directors are asked to authorize and adopt guidelines and delegate authority to the President and CEO to make grants and take related actions on the New York State New Farmers Grant Fund. This year's budget appropriated $1 million for this program. The program provides capital grants to beginning farmers to increase farm profitability. The program will again be administered by Empire State Development in consultation with the Department of Agriculture and Markets. We have prepared a guidance document for administration of the program, which is being presented today for approval. The guidelines include eligibility criteria, project expense criteria, application procedures, contracting requirements, scoring criteria, and program goals. I think it's important to mention that this year's statute changed slightly. It connected capital grants to improving farm profitability. So with that, we added 3 overall program goals, which are expanding and diversifying production and our markets, advancing innovative agricultural techniques that increase sustainable practices, and creating or expanding partnerships with other farm operations or regional food hubs. Grants will be between $15,000 and $50,000 and can be used for construction rehabilitation of farm structures and or the purchase of machinery, equipment, and supplies. This is the second round of the program. Last year, we received $614,000. In response to that, we had 130 applications received and awarded a total of 19 grants. There's a list of awardees in your board package. Since the maximum grant award is $50,000 and in the interest of implementing the legislative mandate swiftly and effectively, the directors are being asked to authorize and adopt the guidelines and authorize the president and CEO or his designee to accept applications, approve project plans, approve grants, hold public hearings, disperse grant funds, and take any necessary actions under the UDC Act and other applicable law and regulations. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Christine? Is this the second year we're doing this program?
Yep.
The second year?
Second year.
And it was very successful the first year, as I
It was.
recall.
It was.
Which is great. Any other questions or comments? Any comments from the public? Is there a motion to approve? Seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Are we taking Jeff, not clear, are we taking the New York State Innovation Venture Capital Fund? Is that
We're going to push that to next month.
Okay.
Yeah.
So but you still have an item, right?
Yeah, the
Ratify the contract,
Right.
Desmond Hotel? Okay, go ahead.
Hi, morning. Thank you, Howard. We are seeking the director's approval for a contract for vendor services with the Desmond Hotel and Conference Center for the 3rd Annual New York State Broadband Summit and Award Ceremony, which took place in June of 2015. So we're seeking the director's approval to ratify the contract and pay that. The funding source is the New York Broadband Program, so the Broadband Program Office. The annual New York State Broadband Summit is recognized as the leading conference on broadband for municipalities, counties, and regions in New York State. The 2015 summit brought together national, state, and local broadband leaders, along with key decision makers in the broadband and technology sectors, who were invited to speak on advancements in the industry, emerging trends, federal broadband developments, and innovative applications, which showcased high-speed broadband networks. The Desmond Hotel provided ESD with services in connection with the summit, including block room rates, event space, rental of audiovisual equipment, food and beverage services for the guests, and signage displays for the summit. The total invoice is $76,000. We had unprecedented turnout of over 400 guests due to the launch of the new New York Broadband, the $500 million program. We had a lot of interest, and I think it was deemed to be a very successful event. So thank you very much. If there are any questions, I'll be happy to answer those.
Any questions for Jeff on this item?
Jeff, I had just a quick one. Under the requested action, you clearly say we're being asked to ratify the contract. What does it mean to say make a determination of responsibility with respect to the contractor?
It's a requirement of the state finance law, and we check the records to make sure a contractor hasn't been debarred from state contracts, and that they're otherwise financially able and have performed satisfactorily on other state contracts. And so the board is asked to make that determination.
Okay, I mean, I'll defer obviously to the judgment of Jeff and yourself. That's a tough determination for the board to make, and so you're really relying, as is written here, on the recommendation of the team.
We do. We look into the qualifications of the proposed contractor, and we make that recommendation to you.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Any comment from the public? Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Greg Alfred will present the final item on today's agenda, which relates to the change in the corporation's delegation of authority to enter into contracts. Greg.
Good morning, everyone. Myself and others in Council's office were asked to look into the idea of raising the threshold, the dollar threshold after which the board approval is required for contracts, loans, and grants. After doing some research, we determined that the limit of $50,000 was initially set by board resolution in 1983, which is obviously some time ago. So we looked at other authorities and we asked them what their threshold was, and we found that ours is actually quite low relative to the others. For example, the Roosevelt Island Operating Corporation is $50,000, which was recently increased from $15,000. The Hudson River Park Trust is $100,000, as is the Housing Finance Agency. Thruway Authority is $150,000. Battery Park City Authority is $250,000. The Dormitory Authority is $300,000. The New York Power Authority is $1 million. And NYSERDA does not even have a threshold. So the proposal is to raise the threshold to $250,000, which puts ESD in the middle range of relative to the other New York State public authorities. And that threshold would capture about 50% of our loans and grants, about 45% of our procurement contracts, and about 66% of contract amendments, at least over the past 5 years. Those have been the numbers. The resolution will delegate authority to enter into contracts, including grants and loans worth over $250,000, to the President, CEO, or his designees, and will also delegate the authority to take all other actions necessary to effectuate the contracts. The accompanying memo in your board materials sets some guidelines that will be instructive to staff and to the board moving forward. For example, single contracts worth over $250,000 will be approved by the board, even if annual payments are less than $250,000. Single projects worth more than $250,000 will be approved by the board, even if the individual component contracts are worth less. Amendments and change orders, bringing a contract from below the threshold to above the threshold, will be approved by the board. All amendments to contracts worth over $250,000 will be approved by the board unless the board's initial authorization allowed for price changes. And finally, personal services contracts lasting for more than 1 year will be approved by the board regardless of price. And that's a requirement of the Public Authorities Law for all public authorities. And it's important to note that nothing in the resolution would prohibit the President and CEO from taking contracts worth less than $250,000 to the board for approval if there is some sort of compelling reason to do so. For example, if there's a politically controversial project where it would be helpful for the board to weigh in. And the resolution also contemplates that the President and CEO from time to time will report to the board on contracts entered into pursuant to this delegation of authority. And the idea here is that this delegation of authority will empower the management team to undertake these contracts and allow the board to focus its efforts elsewhere. I'm happy to take any questions if there are any.
Great, well done. By you and your colleagues, any questions or comments on this? I think it's a good idea, since if history is any indication, we won't consider it again until 2040. So.
Makes sense.
Okay, way to go. Any comments from the public? Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? None. Okay, can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Fabulous, way to go.